Hello, how are you all doing today? So yesterday we started with simple interest and we are continuing today with more questions on simple interest. So let's start. Now, yesterday we learned a new formula, didn't we? We learned that interest, so the I represents interest, P represents principal, R represents rate, which is in percentages, the R represents the time, the number of years the person is using the money. And simple interest is in percentage, as we saw yesterday, so it's over 100. And another formula we looked at is amount is equal to what? Your principal plus the interest will give us the amount. Okay. Now, what is different about today? Today, we are going to find rates, time, and principal from the formula. So we are not only going to review. Yesterday, we were finding simple interest, but today we are going to be asked questions on how to find the rate involving simple interest. Now, the trick here is that when you are finding rate or time or principal, you have to make what you are being asked to find the subject of the equation. So let's look here. You can see that the interest is equal to all these. The principal times the rate times the time, all over 100. So interest is what we call, or what I call, the subject of the equation. This is the equation. So interest is the subject of the equation. But there will be questions that will ask you to find the rate on a simple interest. Now, when you are being asked to find this, that means you have to make this R the subject of the equation. That means the R must come and start. So this R must start this. So it has to be R, because you are being asked to find the rate. So it will be R is equal to, this, and that, and that. So now let's try to devise the formula, or let's try to generate the formula for this. So in a question where you are being asked to find the rate, how do we do it? First of all, you write your formula. Interest is equal to principal times rate times time, all over what? 100. Now, we are making rate, or R, the subject of the equation, because we've been asked to find rate. First of all, you cross multiply. And this one. So this I is automatically over 1. Anything standing on its own is over 1. So you have your I times your 100. So you have I times 100, all is equal to what? P, principal, times rate, times time. You know that when something is standing on its own like this, it is multiplying. It's standing by itself like this, is multiplying. Now, what do we want to stand on its own? We are finding R. So because we want rate to stand on its own, we divide through by what? The principal and the time. So we divide through by P times what? T. And when you divide through by here, you also have to come and do the same thing here, which is what? P times T. You remember, when you have a variable all over what? 10. And you want this x to stand on its own. And you want this x to stand on its own, that means you have to divide through by what? 2. And when you're dividing one side by 2, you also have to divide the other side too by what? The 2. So 2 cancel 2, then here 5. So this x is equal to what? 5. So that's the same knowledge we are applying here. We don't learn to forget. Whatever we learn from class 1, we keep on applying them in Jhs. So now, what happens here? Principal will cancel principal at the top. Time will cancel time at the top. And what are we left with? R is equal to what? Simple interest times 100, all over what? Principal times time. So this is the formula when you are being asked to find what? A rate in a question that involves simple interest. So I'm writing all my formulas here. So get your pen and your book and write the formulas. So rate is equal to what? Interest times 100, all over what? Principal times time. Alright, so now we found our equation when we are finding rate. Now let's look at when we are being asked to find time in simple interest. So this time around what? We are making time the subject of the equation. So that means T must start the equation. So let's see how we do that too. So our formula still stands as what? Simple interest is equal to principal times rate times all over 100. We do our cross multiplication. So we have I is equal to I times 100. All is equal to what? Principal times rate times time. So we have P times R times time. This time around, what are we making the subject of the equation? It is time, because we've been asked to find time. So we are going to divide through by what? P and R, because T must stand on its own. So P times R. Whatever you do at this side, you do at the other side too as well. So P times R. P cancels P, R cancels R. Then we have what? Time is equal to interest times 100 all over P times R. So I come here and I write my second formula. So time is equal to what? Interest times 100 all over P times R. So that is when I'm being asked to find the time in my simple interest question. Now the last thing is what? Principal. Still cross multiplication. Your simple interest takes your 100%. There you are having P times R times T. So before I do it, try to do it before I solve it. So which one is supposed to stand on its own now? P is standing on its own, right? So we divide through by what? R and T. So R times T. We do same for the other side. So R cancels R, T cancels T. Then we have principal is equal to what? Interest times 100 all over rate times time. So our third formula for the day is principal is equal to what? Simple interest times 100 all over what? R times time. Okay. So since we have our formula at the other side of our board, now we can start solving today's question. So this is what I'm talking about. In how many years? What are they asking you to find? Time. In how many years will 500 Ghana cedis yield a simple interest of 100 cedis at a rate of 5% per annum? So from this question, 500 Ghana cedis is the principal. That is the money the person borrowed. 100 cedis is the interest he's paying for borrowing this money. And what rate? 5%. So every year he's being charged what? 5% on this money. So they are asking you that in how many years did he keep this money for him to pay this 100 Ghana cedis interest? So what are we making the subject of the equation? Time. So I've already done it here, so I'm just going to copy it here. So I have time is equal to interest times 100 all over principal times rate. Okay. So what is our interest? Our interest is what? 100 Ghana cedis. Or we can just bring the 100. What is our percentage is there? What is our principal? Our principal is the 500 Ghana cedis. What is our rate? Our rate is always in the percentage. How long? Hey, what is the charge? So that is the rate. So we have 5. Okay. So we are going to cancel through. And when we cancel through, our money will be 4. Our time, our T will be 4. So do the cancellation yourself. So 0, 0, 0, 0. Which one again? 5 here, 1. 5 into 10, 20. then 5 here 1, 5 here 4. So we have what? 4. So I wasn't supposed to do it, so you have to try and do it yourself. So time is what? 4. So how many years? Time is in what? Is in years. Alright? So that means he took the money, 500 Ghana cedis, and at the end of the 4 years, he paid what? 100 Ghana cedis. So this is how simple it is. Okay, now let's take the second question. Don't forget to write there. If it's in time, don't forget to write your years. Now let's take the second question. At what rate? So now do you see? Rate is going to start the equation. So at what rate will 200 Ghana cedis yield a simple interest of 40 Ghana cedis in 4 years? At what rate will 200 Ghana cedis yield a simple interest of 40 Ghana cedis in 4 years? So here 200 cedis is our principal. 40 Ghana cedis is our interest, and our time is 4 years. So you're going to find rate, and you know the rate is in percentages. Alright, so let's pick our formula that makes rate the subject of the equation. So it is R is equal to what? Interest all times 100, principal times time. So my interest is 40 cedis times my 100. What is my principal? My principal is 200 cedis. What is the time? My time is what? 4 years. Right? 4 years. So let's try to cancel out. 4 here, 10. We have what? 0, 0, 0, 0. 2 here, 1, 2 here, 5. So our rate is what? 5%. Don't forget. Please don't write rate as 5 years for me. It's only when you are finding the time. So time is in years. Your time too can be in months. We'll get questions like that. But this particular one, the time is in years. The rate is in percentages, and your principal is money, so that one is in Ghana cedis, depending on what currency they give you. Okay, let's take the third question. At what rate of simple interest will 650 Ghana cedis amount to 975 Ghana cedis if saved for 5 years? At what rate of simple interest will 650 Ghana cedis amount to 975 Ghana cedis if saved for 5 years? Now, do you realize this question is tricky? How tricky is this question? They have not given you the simple interest in the question. You have to find the simple interest. Now, this is the principal. This is the money the person borrowed. And they are saying that at the end of how many years? 5 years, he got 975 Ghana cedis. But they are not asking you to find the simple interest, so they are asking you to find the rate. And before you can find the rate, you need to find the interest. Now, this is the amount, because it is the interest, the principal plus the interest that will give you the amount. So we have to deduct this 650 from this 975 to be able to get what? Our simple interest. So let's come here, right? Amount is equal to what? Don't forget your currency. 975 cedis minus 650 Ghana cedis. Sorry, this is not, it's supposed to be what? Interest. Alright, because amount minus the amount minus the principal will give you what? The interest. So we are finding interest. So our interest is what? 975 minus 650. So we have 325. Ghana cedis. All right. $325 Ghana cedis. So this is the interest. Now we found the interest, so let's find our rate. Our rate is what? R is equal to what? Interest times 100 all over what? P times time. What is our interest now? This is our interest. 325 times 100 all over what is the principal in the question? The principal is 650 Ghana cedis. And what is our time? Our time is 5 years. Okay. Now after you do your counts, because of time, I will not waste time. So rate is what? 10 years. Hey, rate is in percentages. So rate is what? 10%. Okay. So this is what I'm going to end here today because of time. And there was a last question, but will take that question, we'll view the question, try and solve it for me, and take it as number 1 question for your assignment. So find the principal that will yield 72,000 Ghana cedis simple interest in 4 years at 5% per annum, 15% per annum. So this is your number 1 assignment question. I'll see you all next week. Bye.